Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel, and oh boy have we got some stuff to go over today. We're going to look at weird robot, how much we're arguing with bots, and we're going to look at question period because things got really heated in question period today. Melisa Lansman, the deputy party leader for the Conservative Party, got in a fight with the Speaker of the House. So we are going to have to take a look at not just question period, but statements and declarations too, because they got into it. I watched the first little bit and it's interesting. It's very interesting. I am not missing this today. I don't care. I'm not missing this. We're going to cover this. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to look at an Asmongold video first. It's called "This is Going to Be Very Weird," and this is about literally how much we are, like, how much of the client or of the people that we're arguing with online, how much of them are actually real versus how many of them are robots. That's basically what we're going to be looking at, and it's going to be a weird, tonight's going to be a weird show. So I hope you're all ready. I hope you all have your drinks and your food and everything to go, because I want to get this done and dusted, because it's Friday and it's family night. So yeah, I want to make sure that we get this stream good and done, because tonight we're introducing Army of Darkness to the kids, because Army of Darkness is awesome, and it's just the right amount of like scary to make kids like appreciate it, but it's not over the top scary. So I think it'll be perfect to watch them. Like I watched the series backwards. I watched Army of Darkness first. I'm pretty sure I did. Or no, it was Evil Dead 2 that I watched first. That's right. Evil Dead 2, then Army of Darkness, then Evil Dead. That's what I watched. That's the order I watched it in. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting show for us today. So I hope you're all ready. And I hope you're all ready to have a good time and hang out and make some strange observations. So let's jump into this. Let's watch this crazy shit.
It'll be a really much more interesting show
if the camera was on.
Yeah.
Fuck's sakes.
Usually that helps.
Is the light on at least?
Yeah, the light's on.
Okay. Okay, well, hopefully is the screen...
Screen's not sharing, and screen's not sharing either.
Of course it's not sharing.
What the hell is going on? There, camera's back.
Okay. Why is the screen not being shared?
I learned about $10 that you did not do it properly.
Let's just say that I didn't.
Who's creating this non-human army? Wait, what?
Who's creating this non-human? I love how the way this starts.
This is going to be a big part of our lives, and I do not know how to handle it. So
yes.
I'm Blue Sky, and I tweeted about how I think
yes.
that we've all sort of headed over to Blue Sky thinking, oh, I've been tired of the way that Twitter is, I'm going to go to Blue Sky. Thinking
for context, that'll help you a lot.
He thought he was going to get away from the bots.
About the AI, about the industry.
Right.
So
oh,
Zach has
no.
You will learn a lot.
it's just like basically a Twitter replacement.
Yeah.
But of course, it is much more than that. And I'll explain.
Too bad it doesn't have a way to teach this stupid computer.
Instead of having
I just had to open it
protocol
and
do
it
the same
automatically
thing, you
does it.
split those things out. You say, okay, here is the platform, that's Blue Sky. And
That's
there's a
retarded.
protocol called at Proto, I think is what it's called.
Uh-huh.
And that's like how you have Hotmail and Gmail and all of the and Yahoo Mail, all the other mails, and then underneath that there's a protocol that they all use and they're interoperable between the services. And Twitter functions like the protocol and the platform are the same thing, and Blue Sky functions like they are different things, and that's a big deal.
Does that matter?
And it changes
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't know anything about this. Does that matter?
how things are going to be. Like, you can buy Blue Sky the same way that Microsoft bought Hotmail, but nobody can buy email. When Elon Musk bought Twitter, he bought Hotmail and email. He bought the thing and the protocol. If you bought Blue Sky, there would still be @protocol running underneath it, and that could be then used by any number of other people to build a client on top of it that would let you see all of this stuff. Like, you can
okay, that's what that means. I'm like, what the fuck does protocol? What? I'm just sitting. This video is gonna make me look like an absolute retard. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, because I don't know anything about this. So prepare for me to look like a dumb fucking thought, okay?
Go.
Well, they can ban you in Blue Sky, right?
It's Hank Green. He gets to it eventually.
I hope so, because right now I'm lost.
Because I see people talking about getting banned in Blue Sky all the time. Yeah, so how's that true? Elon didn't buy email. Yeah, I feel like I don't think that's really what happened, because if you think about it like this, buying email would be like buying social media.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand Hank Green's analogy here. How is this like Elon bought email and Hotmail? I don't, like, I'm not a knowledgeable person by any means for this, but this doesn't.
Buying Hotmail would be like buying Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the
way, is saying that Gates originally bought Hotmail. Okay, he's talking about Gates. Zach screwed up by saying Elon. What happened? Okay.
So, no, he said Elon too.
No, he. If you didn't hear Microsoft, okay, he said Microsoft bought Hotmail and essentially bought email at that point, because everything was the @. Because the @ are your protocol. Protocol meaning function. Okay? So by doing that, there's still the @s, the @MSN, @Hotmail. You know how some people still have an @Hotmail, and Hotmail's been dead for 15 years?
You mean like our landlord?
Exactly my point. Because all of those Hotmail accounts translated their protocol, the TCP IP, the protocols.
Yeah.
Okay? Those are protocols. Okay? IP stands for Internet Protocol, for instance. Okay? But yeah, so what ended up happening there is, that's what he's talking about, is the purchase at that point. He's talking about the buy-in of, he was talking about Microsoft, when Microsoft bought Hotmail and it became MSN Mail.
Yeah.
And then essentially he also bought the term email, because electronic mail came along lines with Hotmail.
Okay.
And Microsoft then had, because now email and Gmail and everything, because on our computers on Microsoft, it's email. It's not mail, it's not your internet, it's not email program, it's just email is what you click and it opens.
Right.
So essentially that's what he means by buying that.
So then why did he say Elon bought both?
Because that's what he did with Twitter. Because essentially when he bought Twitter, he bought both. He bought the protocol, which is the social media protocol itself, which is also what Blue Sky operates on. It's the same thing with Kick. Okay, Kick actually runs on the back end of Twitch.
Right.
It uses all Twitch's back end, all their protocols.
Right.
But it's a separate platform. Elon bought the entire, the protocol and Twitter.
So what's wrong with that?
When it comes to programming and RSS, because like the RSS shit, that's where it all comes in. Because part of the RSS loss was the fact of the connections to RSS. For you guys. Same thing with Red. All that stuff that happened all at the same time when it all disappeared, all your guys' abilities to do stuff, nobody noticed that it all happened at the exact same time across all the same platforms?
Nope.
I watched that all happen at the exact same time, which made me go, oh, something happened to RSS, not to their connection and their feed like everyone kept on saying.
Right.
So, that's all. I'm an idiot, but I don't know.
The way Microsoft, I think, bought Skype. So we even have an example of that happening.
Just a lead-in.
Okay, that's what I'm trying
This is just a lead-in, because Zach's going to talk about a couple things in a minute that actually has to do with content creators.
Okay.
It's not that long of a video.
So, like,
really
if you can get banned by
it's
a central authority,
it's pretty long.
it's not decentralized.
Yeah, but now it's like, who is creating the non-human army?
Because right now, and look at the blue sky.
What Hank's trying to figure out is he's trying to understand the concept of how is it that this account with 23 followers is able to have all of this traction and not be spammed as a bot, even though it turns out that it's an AI account.
Right.
That's where the big question is coming in, and that's what they're trying to talk about. That's why the title is "This is going to be very weird," because it's Hank Green for one trying to explain shit in layman's terms while ranting.
Isn't Hank Green one of the, or am I thinking of Brian Green, the scientist guy?
Hank Green is a huge science guy. Hank Green was the TikTok guy.
Okay, but I'm thinking of the other guy that explains shit really badly, the Nova dude.
That's Brian Green.
Okay.
He's a dickhead.
He's
a dick. He's a dickhead. He's a dickhead. I hate him, but no, he's not as bad though. He could be worse. You could be worse. You could be Steven Baker.
Fire hose. This is available for everyone to do whatever they want with, and you could take this and you could build a platform on top of it that just put all of this stuff into a thing that would you could create a follow graph, you could port follow graphs from one place to another, you could move accounts from one place to another. This is happening all the time behind the scenes, and it's all
This is the Matrix. I've seen this
which I don't
movie.
think people get, and has all kinds of implications, but that's not what this video is about. So hopefully that did not overwhelm you too much, but that
sorry, it did. You fail.
What Blue Sky looks like behind the scenes. But what I actually want to talk about
He's simplifying it, but basically Twitter has proprietary protocol that can't be used by third parties. Is this the same type of issue that Reddit ran into with its API access and then changing the API access?
Probably. I think so, because that's what Pinkala was just talking about with the Reddit and the RSS access and... Pardon?
Half of people are saying yes, half are saying no. Okay.
Was this, so I tweeted about this. The goal of Blue Sky is to decentralize the social internet so that every individual controls their experience of it rather than having it be controlled by 5 random billionaires. Everyone thinks they signed up for a demuskified Twitter. We actually signed up for an exciting and bizarre experiment.
Well, yeah, of course, because if they can ban you, then you're just trading one owner for another.
This is why I didn't go running to Blue Sky when Blue Sky came to be a thing. Because Blue Sky, like, to me, it's just another platform that is literally just another Twitter.
Aren't you?
It's just,
I feel like you are at that point.
Yes.
If you're saying, okay, we're going to go over to this other platform, and now there are different rules that we have to follow on this other platform, what difference functionally is that from Twitter?
Nothing. Except for the name.
That's not the point?
Pretty sure it is.
Then what would it be? I mean, I don't even understand.
And I kind of tweeted this because I wanted to understand the extent to which people understood this, but also to get some feedback on my perspective here to try to challenge that a little bit. And I got someone challenging my perspective. It's Flower Garden, who says this is a concerning misrepresentation of Blue Sky's intentions. Decentralizing the internet doesn't necessarily mean individuals control their experience, but rather that companies like Twitter don't have a stranglehold on the platform. This oversimplification undermines the complexity of the issue. Now, I thought this is kind of a weird way to tweet that, but that's interesting enough for me that I
Thank you, Asmongold. At least you're confused. Okay, if Zach is confused, I don't feel so stupid. Okay, just fucking Jesus Christ. If Zach is this confused, I am glad that I feel as confused, because right now I'm just like, what the fuck is he saying?
Hear more from this person. So I replied, can you tell me more about what you think I misrepresented?
The protocol is basically a standard to design other social media on that will be compatible to communicate with other social media using it. But, like, how would that function as a value to me as an individual user?
It wouldn't.
Like, is that a functional difference that matters to me as a user? Because I can't really see that mattering. It doesn't. Yeah. So why would that have anything to do with it?
It really doesn't. It doesn't have like, and this is just coming from a layman here. It doesn't have anything to do with anything.
And they didn't reply for a while, and I didn't. That makes sense. And then I came back thinking, oh, maybe that person replied, and they didn't. And I was like, well, okay, let's check out their account. Let's go to see who they are. They have 23 followers, and they're following 12 people, and they're a passionate dog trainer and rescue advocate. And they say, hi, Dog Twitter, excited to join this amazing community of dog lovers, forever learning from the unconditional love of dogs. Normal. Wow. Pretty normal.
Very. That sounds like a bot.
Weird. Pretty normal replies from this person. Thread, we're on Team Joe, do whatever the fuck you want. I disagree.
I see. So this is ChatGPT, and they're trying to get around the automatic filters.
Yes.
So a lot of social media websites have this system that automatically detects bots, and the way that you get around the automatic bot detection is by interacting with and having other people interact with your account.
Yeah. So you ChatGPT your posts, and then I see now.
Are verified humans.
Yeah.
So all of this is created in order to get around bots.
Yes. It is bots creating them a way around getting botted.
He could disregard the law. As president, he has a responsibility to uphold the Constitution. Star Wars did give us a slur for robots, clankers, but I don't use it because you don't want to have to look a robot in the eye in 50 years and be like, you don't understand, it was a different time.
I'm so glad I never made an account on this website. This is the most cringe fucking shit ever.
This is Blue Sky? This is what's on Blue Sky right now? Holy shit. This is the shit that's on Blue Sky. Really?
My God.
This is pathetic.
Oh my God. With this perspective, a slur is a derogatory term regardless of the context in which it originated. My tweet, that's a concerning misrepresentation. This tweet, not
and
for
so
nothing.
it's programmed in order to it's programmed to disagree
with people
because disagreement is more likely to prompt interaction.
Yep. It's bait disagreement. It's literally bait disagreement. That's crazy.
That's like 95% what I think is happening.
It's like those engagement bait tweets where it's like there are only 3 words in the English language that have 2 E's in them. You know, it's like
The blowback season on the Korean War was great. I strongly disagree. Best Supporting Actor, Kieran Culkin. I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
While this intention is laudable, simplistic solutions. That's a ridiculous interpretation.
It's a bot.
I'm
it
skeptical
is totally a bot. Somebody has programmed ChatGPT to tweet for them.
Yep.
I disagree. I strongly disagree. That's not entirely accurate.
It's like the internet rule. If you want to have a solution to a problem, don't post the question, post the wrong answer.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
This is a bot
Then other people will come and correct you.
Using ChatGPT or some large language model with
all right, let me pull that guy up.
Disagree with stuff.
Yeah.
And I fucking walked right into it. I was like, this is a weird thing. Like, I actually think you're wrong.
Well, he got.
He did. He got by a bot. He got by a robot. That's crazy. He actually got by a robot.
That's what happened. You got. You thought it was a guy? It wasn't a guy. It's a robot. That's what happens.
Oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And they're getting lots of engagement. That's not the wage increase is likely led to.
Of course, they get
significant
engagement.
Job losses and price hikes as the industry struggled to absorb the added costs. Reply.
And everybody's arguing. Nice argument. Why? Because you say so. Like, yeah, nobody even understands at all. Nobody understands at all that it's a bot.
So does that mean if I want engagement, I should just start posting wrong things on Twitter? Is that if I want actual Twitter engagement, I should just start posting wrong shit? Have people disagree with me?
Is that bots now are getting better.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that bots aren't going to get better.
No, they are.
Like, oh, I'm good at detecting bots.
No.
Really, you're good at detecting bots. How many bots have you detected that you didn't know that you did? How many bots have you interacted with that you didn't know? Well, that's an unknowable number by the name.
Engagement.
I'm having a bad day. Say hi to make me feel better. Right?
Yeah.
Those kind of posts. Anything like that. That's the engagement posting. That's engagement farming.
But you didn't know that they were bots. You see? Like, it's...
Engagement. What is the point, dog lover?
Because he's not a dog lover. He's a robot.
What are you trying to do? Flowergarden.bluesky.social. And for how long am I going to be able to even tell the difference? Like, if it hadn't been that
Well, he couldn't tell the difference. You didn't tell the difference. You got God. That's the whole point. It worked on him, and this guy is very computer literate. He's an intelligent person.
Very smart.
And so if he's getting got, think about what the Facebook grandmas are having.
Oh, God. The poor Facebook grandmas. The poor Facebook grandmas. They have no idea.
They've been got.
Yep.
And if it was a little bit better... So the question is going to move from what can we do about this, which is nothing. So like there will be people out there pretending to be people, and we will not be able to tell them apart from real people. Maybe there's something we can do about that.
You know what's going to be really creepy? When they start putting robots into like bodies, but they're not like actual androids. They're just like bodies with AI. And are you going to be able to tell any different? Are you going to be able to know?
Which would be like a sort of curated blue sky.
The only way you can solve that problem is by having real identity verification that is authenticated by maybe a third party or by the government. That then allows you to make an account through that, like South Korea.
Nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's gonna want, like, the fact that I have to verify my ID, my government ID, just to get my Twitter subscription started, that fucking sucks.
That's the only solution. Yeah, that's it. So you either have one or the other. Maybe I'm not creative enough. I cannot think of a third option.
No, I can't either.
Bad idea, but true. Well, what's the fastest way to warm yourself up? Set yourself on fire.
Yeah.
That's technically true, but it's not a good idea. So there are a lot of things that you can do that work, that serve a purpose, but you shouldn't do them.
Definitely true humans that is proved to be humans in some very true and clear way. But I don't know that that's the good solution to the problem, because there are reasons why people would want to be anonymous on the internet.
Yes.
And maybe you can disentangle those things, but I don't know. I think
you don't know why people want to be anonymous on the internet, Hank? Really?
That the bigger thing is like, what's the incentive for doing this? And how do you turn off that incentive? And I can't figure out what the incentive for doing it is.
Engagement, money. If you can get around the bot filter and get an account verified, that's literally just ChatGPT posting for you, and then you can get creator revenue sharing out of that. Fuck, man, what isn't the incentive?
What do you mean you don't know what the incentive is?
Thank you, Zach.
How many psychological studies have we seen that have been conducted over the last 50 years that show that people have a herd bias?
Yes. Exactly. And even if you get yourself like a bot to write your posts for you, the engagement is still going to give you that dopamine hit.
People buy botnets because if you have, like, let's say a view bot on Twitch and a lot of people see your stream and they see your stream is popular, they'll think that your stream is good.
And then they'll come and watch you, and then you'll get that hit of dopamine, and then you'll get the people will start subscribing to you, and blah, 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 blah,
That's the way it works with people.
Yep.
And I know it sounds like a stupid thing, but I think that it's absolutely true. And it's always been true as well.
It is true, because if people see you streaming, like if you're view botting, for example, and people see that you stream and you're streaming to like say you have like 30 people in your stream and they're view botted, people are going to come in, oh, there's 30 people in here. It must be worth watching. And then those people will stay because, oh, well, other people are here. But if you have no view bots and you've got, say, 3 people in your stream, people are going to see, oh, there's only 3 people watching this. That's a shitty stream. That's really boring. I'm not going to watch that because there's nobody else here. And I don't want to be the only one here. That's literally...
Yeah, exactly, right? And so if botnets are massively popular because if people see something getting a lot of likes or they see an opinion getting very popular, then they'll have that opinion.
Yep.
I don't know how to turn down the incentive. Give me in the comments.
You can't because it's hardwired into the only way
you
can turn this off.
How do you turn down the incentive? Get rid of the dopamine center in the brain. There you go.
Off is by real ID verification, I believe. And you can never get rid of the incentive for this to be on social media.
No.
Because to the extent that you can communicate ideas, there is a financial goal in communicating certain ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And that financial goal will be met by people that are using unethical means to do so unless they can't do that.
Yep. And that's why the people who aren't using unethical means aren't able to get any of the things that they need. Michael Care, how you doing?
That's just how it is.
Yep.
So you can't get rid of this because it's hardwired into people's brains.
Yeah, it's literally a human... What's the word? It's a human condition thing. You can't get rid of it.
What do you think the point of this is? Is it to build an account that has like a history and some followers so that it can then be used to spam? And if the price of doing that is so low that all you need to do like is nothing. I mean, I guess you just like turn this program on and you have to have like an instance of a large language model running, but maybe that's fairly inexpensive now. And so now you could just like, maybe this costs like 12 cents a year to run.
Yeah.
You can do lots of posts from ChatGPT for free. You don't have to pay for ChatGPT Plus to get what you need.
And then if you can at one point flip it to become a spam account or an influence account, or is it just like Discord? Is it just being...
Of course not. No, people don't actively do that regularly on a large scale. There are always going to be bad actors and jokers in the world, but it's always going to be a minority. The reason why it happens is because, so basically a lot of social media websites, I said this at the beginning, but I'll kind of like summarize it because he just brought it up. Social media websites have what is effectively bot culling.
They do. So that's why these people are doing this in this type of way, using a language model to post for them, because that way it gets around the bot culling features.
Means that brand new accounts are sometimes limited in their features and they are limited in their interaction possibilities.
Yes.
And there are ways that you can get around these limitations, such as linking a phone number, linking an email account, or doing something like that. But what happens is that these accounts there are like internal checks and balances, or actually just checks. There are internal criteria checks that each social media network is programmed with in order to like subversively determine whether an individual is a bot or a real person. And they use that in order to cut down on botting. YouTube has it, Facebook has it, Twitter has it, Blue Sky probably has it, but it's not very good. And so all of these platforms have it, and the issue is...
Your little chick is growing well? Oh, that's good.
Is that because you can do this at scale instantaneously, effectively...
I forget. Is it a rooster chick or is it a chicken chick? Is it gonna lay eggs for you or is it going to be a rooster?
Testing for figuring out what triggers the so like basically this is the reason. Okay, well let's take another step back. So Blizzard bans bots in massive waves and not regularly. Okay. The reason why they don't ban them regularly is because they don't want bot makers and hackers to do what is effectively A/B testing, which means like
Aww.
basically you try doing this, that doesn't work. Okay, I'm going to try doing that. That does work. Okay, now I'm going to try doing that, and then this. Okay, that doesn't work. And then you just keep changing it to where you can reverse engineer the process by failing at every step possible in order to effectively figure out, how do you figure out where to go? You figure out where not to go.
Yeah. You fuck up first, and then you figure out, oh, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Let's do this other thing.
You see what I'm saying? And so that's the reason why Blizzard doesn't mass ban bots. But the problem is that social media has to do that. And in the process of having to do that, and you can fail max, right? Well, you are fail maxing, but you're doing it at scale and you're doing it robotically. So there's no actual cost of labor. So basically what they do is they set up these programs, they figure out what the checks are, and then they calibrate their botting system to do things that will go underneath those checks. Okay. Why do you think negative comments are why they're doing this? They're doing it with negative comments because negative comments have a higher probability of attracting an interaction.
That's true. It's very true. I don't know what it is about humans, but we tend to react more often and more so to negative comments than we do to positive ones.
Or attracting a like. So what they're going to do, and this is the reason also, here's another component to it with YouTube. The other component to it with YouTube is the fact that if you look at a lot of the comments on YouTube that are made by fake accounts, every single one of them almost is copy pasting an existing top comment. Because they're programmed to identify the top and most interacted with comments and then repost those comments because those comments are the highest likely to receive interaction.
That makes sense.
And so all of this is created so that people that use botnets can use them for different means. Why do I know so much about botting?
Why do I know so much about botting?
Because it's about any scam or anything like that, I know a lot about it. Yeah.
It's something that he's interested in, let's just say. He seems interested in
anything like that. These are basically what alien people say, the soul-sucking aliens, now it's bots. Yeah, exactly. But there it is.
Run by some organization that would like to create a more Discord-speaking world, and is like, let's just sort of fill.
No, this is no Russia hoax or some shit like that. It has nothing to do with that. I'm sure, yes, of course, there are people who are Russian disinformation agents, but to think that they're like disagreeing with people on an individual level on Blue Sky, of course not.
All social media platforms up with bots that are designed to disagree and to increase disagreement. I could honestly see that. I don't see that with this because it's not mean enough. Like if it were meaner, or maybe it just like starts nice and becomes meaner over time. But this is so good at that it is really making me think if there's somebody out here on the internet that's making me mad, there is a high probability that that's not even a real person. Yeah. And that it is indeed like, what's the incentive? The only incentive is like, take up my time, distract me, and make me have less faith in my society and fellow people. So like,
or they want to make money and they don't want to take the time to actually post. So they run ChatGPT or Grok to post their stuff for them.
I think that's a fair assumption to make, but I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think this is some sort of like, geopolitical power grab where like China is like paying Chinese people to disagree with Americans to make Americans mad. It's just not what's happening.
Is a strong push toward block if people are being disrespectful.
And also, why wouldn't they do it? It's not that they aren't doing it. It's that the scale of doing it is probably 95% or 99% botnets and 1 to 5% propaganda.
That's terrifying. 95% botnets and 1 to 5% propaganda. Fuck, that's...
I'm not saying it's not happening at all, but I'm saying that it's not the prime causal factor, and it's not even close to being the prime causal factor. It's very, very low probability.
Yeah.
Not if people are disagreeing, but if they're being, like, if they're, like, enraging me. And then that is also, like, an incentive toward creating whitelists.
We have no clue. I do. I've been on social media ever since social media was pretty much invented. I've seen this happen the entire time. I probably understand this better than almost anyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I understand how the botnets work and how they can build their systems. Of course. I guarantee you this is what's happening.
Yes. And it's sad. It's sad that we have so many people using bots to create their accounts and post for them.
Really robust block lists of people like this. But honestly, it feels more like a whitelist than a block list problem, because if it costs nothing to have this kind of activity, I just don't think it costs much. I think it's on the order of dollars, like single dollars per year to run an account like this. So I don't know why they wouldn't do it. And that's something that like a Blue Sky like protocol would allow. It would allow some people to sign up for only the internet that is definitely real humans, if that's what you would prefer. And I think that's maybe what a lot of people would prefer.
Blue Sky doesn't allow that to happen. It doesn't prevent that from happening either. Anybody can do that without Blue Sky. All you have to do is join a website that has real ID verification.
Yeah, you don't need... Like, Blue Sky's not going to stop bots from applying and opening accounts. That's ridiculous.
Like a very crude version of this is that every single girl that streams on cam sites has to post a picture of herself next to her driver's license for them to confirm that she's 18 years old.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we've been doing this for actually over 10 years.
Yes, we have. I have to show, like I said, if I want to unlock my subscriptions for Twitter, then I need to show my ID, and I need to show a picture of me with my ID.
Right, this is the video. I'm going to go play Connections, everybody. Let's do that. I haven't played Connections yet this morning, but I need to tell you about something else real quick. And yes, I have changed shirts because I just went to the gym, and I'm cutting this in later. This video is brought to you by Complexly.store, which is a place where you can go to buy a bunch of cool stuff and also support the work that we do at Complexly. Complexly is a company that makes educational online video, and we give it away for free. None of our videos are put behind a paywall, and we believe that is the right way to do things, but we do need to make money somehow. It is not a particularly easy business to run. We have razor-thin profit margins every year, and you can check out Complexly.store where you can get a ton of very cool stuff. Everything from simple stuff like the Crash Course University t-shirt established 2012. Yes, Complexly.
What?
Just to make...
Oh, okay. But yeah, that was a really interesting look at why people are using bots to post to their own, like to post to accounts instead of posting themselves or curating their own stuff. It's crazy. It's frightening after learning methods for recognizing propaganda, to recognize the propaganda too easily, and then to see how others will fall for it so easily. It's very true. That's very true, Night's Rain. It is scary. Like, once you yourself can see through everything, and then you see how people fall for it, it's really, really scary. It's really scary, and it's really sad. And it's very, very frightening to take a look and see, like, just how people can fall for everything. Like, I take a look at, like, I argue with my mother all the time. She works for the government, and she just doesn't see how the fucking government is failing. And I'm watching the workings of Parliament every day, and I'm like, how do you not see this? Are they just lazy? Try being, yeah. not having a radio and being an overthinker. That's never fun. Okay. So now we're going to take a look at what happened today in question period. And Melisa Lansman spent the first 8 minutes talking about something very important that we need to hear about. And the Speaker of the House argued with her.
Chester's true motivations only coming to light, not to mention that they were seemingly aided by new Democrat MPs. Shameful.
Oh shit, really?
And that's what's compelled me to rise on this question of privilege. Our own members, the members of this House of Commons, impeding the work of parliamentarians to get into their office, to have meetings in their office, to have meetings canceled in their office, to have those who come to the front door not be able to even walk through the front door of Parliament Hill. That's why I'm raising this member.
And didn't we ban protesting inside the House of Commons like a long fucking time ago? Didn't we say like you can protest on the Hill, but you can't like go inside and block Parliament from happening? Like, didn't we? Isn't there laws on this?
The House of Commons procedure in practice states that on page 107, quote, in order to fulfill their parliamentary duties, members should be able to go about their parliamentary business undisturbed. And speakers have consequently upheld that right of the House to the services of its members, free from intimidation and obstruction and interference. End quote.
Good job, Melisa. Good job. Good quoting.
Parliamentary privilege in Canada, the second edition, meanwhile, comments that on page 176, quote, no impediment should be placed on a member in going about his or her parliamentary business, whether in the House, on the way to the House, or on the way home. Indeed.
That's true. You can't fucking just knowingly accost members of Parliament and be like, I'm protesting.
Madam Speaker, Boskin Gagnon, at page 86, or on the way home. Indeed, Madam Speaker, Boskin Gagnon, at page 86, remind us that, quote, the denial of access of members to the parliamentary precinct has been found to constitute contempt of the House.
The House, yep, contempt of the House. That is exactly what that is. Blocking the parliamentarians from doing their job is contempt of the House.
Several occasions,
yep.
End quote. It might be helpful to pause here, Madam Speaker, and recall the definition of the parliamentary precinct, which this very much falls within. It is the offices of members of Parliament. Quote, on page 163 of Mango, the parliamentary precinct is endorsed by, quote, in the parliamentary sense, the precincts are the premises of the House of Commons, the Senate, occupied from time to time for their corporate purposes. It includes those premises where each House, through its Speaker, exercises physical control to enable the members to perform their parliamentary work without obstruction or interference. End quote.
There you go. What about Greenpeace blocking PP's house? Oh, that's definitely I would consider that contempt of the House, considering that he wasn't able to get out.
That includes the Confederation building, where access was denied or meant to be denied on Tuesday morning, and then with subsequent media reports coming out after about who was involved in those protests. And it is the intention here of the NDP organized protesters, which was revealed in those media interviews, which is critical because on page 60 in Boskin Gagnon, it explains that, quote, any conduct which offends the authority or the dignity of the House, even though no breach of any specific privilege may have been committed, it is referred to as a contempt of the House.
Exactly.
Yep.
Contempt may be an act of omission, and it does not have to actually obstruct and impede the House or a member. It merely has to have the tendency to produce such results.
Yeah, it doesn't have to. What she's saying here is they don't have to have the intent to block things, but if it produces that result, then that's obstruction.
End quote. And I find that I find that piece very important, Madam Speaker. They put 100 people in the building at an entryway, and I can guarantee you
100
that
people.
They did that because they had the intention to obstruct the free passage of anyone looking to get in.
So they put 100 people in the Confederation building on Tuesday morning. Why? What was the point?
Members of Parliament or those they were conducting business with. And turning back to the prohibition on obstructing and impeding Parliament, members of Parliament on the Hill, Baskin Gagnon expand on this principle on page 110. Quote, in the circumstances where members claim to be physically obstructed, impeded, or interfered with, or intimidated in the performance of their parliamentary functions, the Speaker is apt to find that a prima facie breach of privilege has occurred.
There you go. So why is the Speaker... Why is that not something that... That's true, Night
Incidents involving the obstruction, such as traffic barriers, security cordons, a union picket line, either impede members' access to the parliamentary precinct or blocking their free movement within the precinct, as well as occurrences of physical assault, have been found to be a prima facie cases of privilege, end quote. That's on page 110. And from there, 2 further pages of the book are dedicated to summarizing the prima facie cases of privilege, which speakers have found over the past 4 decades.
4 decades! 4 decades of this is completely consistent until now.
To members' access being fettered by protests, strikes, inflexible security arrangements, and given that those clear-cut facts of each case are an equally clear principle, Speaker's rulings on questions of privilege of this nature have typically been prompt and concise. The several reports of the Standing Committee on the Procedure and House Affairs, or from Procedure and House Affairs, which often followed, are richer in content and help us understand the issue at hand. And I would believe that it would be useful to review briefly some of those principles. In reporting to the House on two questions of privilege arising from the federal public service strike, the Procedure and House Affairs Committee explained at paragraph 15 in its 66th report presented in April of 1999, quote, one of the privileges of members of the House of Commons
She's going
is a
all
right
the way
to
back to 99 for her evidence.
Access to Parliament and the parliamentary precincts. And members are entitled to go about their parliamentary business undisturbed and cannot be prevented from entering the chamber or a committee room of a parliamentary proceeding. This privilege can be traced back to at least the early 18th century. The 18th century.
Jesus.
And this is part of the heritage of all legislative bodies that trace their origins back to the British parliamentary tradition. It is based on the preeminent right of the House to the attendance and service of its members, and any obstruction of members constitutes a breach of privilege and a contempt of the House of Commons, end quote. In the same committee, following a different question of privilege, it is said in the 21st report presented in the House in December of 2004, quote, the denial of access to members of the House, even if temporary, is unacceptable, and it constitutes contempt of the House.
It absolutely constitutes contempt of the House. I don't know how the fuck she has to go through all of this. How does she have to bring this up?
Members must not be impeded or interfered with while on the way to the chamber or when going about their parliamentary business.
Oh, her fashion is banging. Oh, Melisa Lansman is great. she's not only is she the deputy leader of the Conservative Party, but she's also part of the gay community. So she's like, that's what I mean. They're like, oh, conservatives hate gay people. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Explain Melisa Lansman.
The operation,
and then she's actually been called a token lesbian before, and a token Jew. It's horrifying the way they talk about Melisa
parliamentary
Lansman.
business. To preempt this, it would interfere with the operation of the House of Commons and undermine the preeminent right of the House to service of its members, end quote. The report, Madam Speaker, was concurred in the House on May 17th, 2005. The Procedure and House Affairs Committee later wrote, this time in the 26th report.
So we're almost to the point. She's going to get interrupted in a second. The Speaker of the House is about to interrupt Melisa Lansman, and we're going to see where she gets into an argument.
Quote, as a part of parliamentary privilege, members of the House of Commons have the right to unimpeded and unfettered access to the parliamentary precincts and are entitled to go about their parliamentary duties and functions undisturbed without any form of interference. Right. Parliament Hill, and most notably Centre Block and the Peace Tower, represent for Canadians the physical embodiment of our parliamentary democracy, and as such,
American conservatives do. Canadian conservatives and even UK conservatives don't follow the same rules as those here in the US. No, I find US conservatives to be a lot more religious in their conservatism. I feel like Canadian and British conservatives are more progressive in their social thinking, but they're still very fiscally conservative, if that makes sense. If that makes sense at all. I feel like conservatives in Canada and England are a bit more
the grounds of
fiscally
Parliament
conservative,
Hill
but
have
less
become the preferred site of
conservative.
individuals and groups for peaceful gatherings and manifestations. The Canadian values and culture, as embodied notably in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, encourage rather than deter such exercise of fundamental rights of expression and association. And the symbolism of Parliament Hill has, however, made it potential target for those with malicious and illegal intentions, and to the security posture on Parliament Hill, therefore must be adjusted to meet those threats, end quote. You will recall, Madam Speaker, that the Globe and Mail's comment about Madam Wasser that I quoted earlier, who, quote, said in an interview that the Confederation building was chosen for the protest because it is a building where many parliamentarians conduct their business, and protesters wanted to bring that usual business on Parliament Hill to a halt.
Yes, they did.
And going back to that 2012 report of the committee, it restated the obligations and expectations of access to Parliament Hill, including the observation, quote, first, members of the House of Commons should not, in any case, be denied or delayed access to the Hill or the precinct. That is exactly what happened on Tuesday morning.
Yep. That's exactly it. That's exactly what happened. They blocked Confederation, the Confederation building, and the parliamentarians were not able to do their job.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I just want to remind the member she is repeating a lot of what she has already said.
Oh, fuck you, you dumb cunt. No, she's not. She hasn't repeated anything. Why? Because she kept saying contempt of the House and prima facie breach of privilege? You mean like she had to keep using the same phrases because you guys are basically lawyers?
And I just want to remind the member that we expect members to be brief in bringing new information to the matter at hand, or to discussing the matter at hand, and when they're starting to get repetitive.
Shut up, you stupid French cunt. You can't even say repetitive.
Then, I'm going to have heard enough, and I want to allow others to who have risen on this here, but I do want to just indicate that Speaker Scheer in April 30th, 2012, and also Acting Speaker Devlin, June 13th, 2012.
What's a 2012? Have we jumped into the future? Is it now the year 2012?
I can also quote Assistant
wow.
Deputy Speaker Anthony Rhoda, all who have indicated that the Speaker has a right to terminate that discussion and that it does not mean that any member rising on the question of privilege has unlimited time on the floor.
Stop.
I just want to remind the member to please be brief with anything else that she wishes to add. The Honourable Member for Third Thornhill.
Basically, what she just said was you repeated yourself too much and wasted time, and now I'm basically just taking what you said and shutting it down. Do you have anything else to say?
Madam Speaker, I'm talking about a serious issue where the security of members and the breach of privilege of members of this House would have occurred. And I've brought you multiple examples from multiple different reports.
Yeah, she didn't repeat anything. She brought out different examples, different reports, different quotes, different pages.
And different rulings and different reports within the Procedure and House committees. And I'm stating those in order to provide you with the maximum context for you to be able to rule on this question of privilege. Exactly. A question of privilege that impeded members of this House, your own colleagues, Madam Speaker, from doing their work, entering their offices, having meetings, and potentially having their safety breached in this place. And I would expect that members of this House would take that seriously, because if this isn't a question of privilege, I'm not sure what is. Exactly. But similar points have also been made, and sometimes word for word, by this committee. And I'll state another report, the 34th report. It was presented in March of 2015.
Oh, look, she's not
another one in the
again.
34th report, this time presented in 2017. In responses to the 2015 question of privilege, where concerns were raised about a 74-second delay for a shuttle bus, was well.
I'm sorry, repeat
about
that?
a 74-second. The 2015 question of privilege, where concerns were raised about a 74-second delay for a shuttle bus, was truly rose to a case of a prima facie breach of privilege. So if a delayed bus was found to be a breach of privilege, then I'm not sure how 130 people sitting in the lobby impeding access to members of Parliament, members of this House, to enter this place, do their work, enter their offices, and feel safe. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to hear that as a question of privilege in its entirety.
Thank you, Melissa. Good job. Good job. Call out the Speaker for being a dumb bitch. Good job.
Now, the honourable member seems to be challenging the chair on what I have just said.
Do you think? Do you really?
I would just, as I've indicated to the member, there was some items that she was bringing forward that was repetitive.
No, there weren't. She didn't repeat anything. She had like 5 different examples from 5 different reports and rulings. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And
you
I just wanted to let her know that, the orders of the procedures is that the honourable members, when they present questions of privileges, they're all important questions of privileges, and that the summary be as brief as possible.
It was 10 minutes. How much do you? What? She's supposed to summarize and state and cite examples of how it's a point of privilege in less than 10 minutes? You're making this take longer by arguing with her. You were being repetitive. You're just... You're making this take longer.
As well who want to weigh in on that. And so, again... the point of order, the honourable member for Grand Prairie Mackenzie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think it was inadvertent, but the Honourable Speaker used the proper name of a sitting member of Parliament.
Oh, good job. Good job. I think it was inadvertent, but the speaker used the name of a sitting member of Parliament, which is not allowed. You're not allowed to do that. So now a Conservative member is like, Madam Speaker.
Former Speaker. I'm wondering if the Speaker wants to clarify the rules with regards to naming the proper name of currently elected members of Parliament.
I stand corrected. I shouldn't have used his name. I should have just used his riding of Regina Capel. The honourable member for Thornhill. We'll have to start over. We'll have to continue after the orders of the day here, which is we're going to statements by members. Déclaration de...
I wanted to show you guys that.
Last week,
we're gonna skip ahead to oral questions.
Parliamentarians to commit to ensuring the territory. You have an incredible swiftly in the House. Thank you.
The honourable member for...
Just keep skipping ahead.
Anymore since...
They're working for Canadians, not
lives of you here for Frederick.
Canadian.
Where is
assets to liability.
Tragedy made
Madam Speaker, more than
us to act for a better support.
Did I miss it?
Inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall as
Nope.
Supplement that them.
No, I did not miss it. It's around the half-hour mark.
Be merciless.
acceptable violence.
For that is why he's with his son-in-law. Believe that.
Hike an inflationary carbon tax, hike grocery. The NDP leader says he's fighting workers' cost, drives relief now.
Member for Sherbrooke.
Of the liens or
sorry guys.
Oral questions.
There we go.
Questions orales. The honour member for Thornhill.
Oh, good. She gets to speak again.
Madam Speaker, there's snow on the ground and it's pretty cold in the capital, and Canadians from coast to coast are putting up Christmas trees. But the finance minister is stuck in fantasy land, somehow still thinks it's fall. She's weeks behind on delivering the fall economic statement to this House and to Canadians. The parliamentary budget officer says that this minister blew past her deficit reduction targets, adding more inflationary spending and crippling debt that Canadians will have to pay. But we don't know for sure because she's nowhere to be found. So when will the finance minister tell Canadians just how much money she spent?
Is Chrystia Freeland even there today?
The honourable minister.
Madam Speaker, we look forward to answering our colleagues' questions, but I do feel it's important to recognize the gravity of this day. It is the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. And
oh, please. Today is the day about violence against women.
35 years ago, 14 women's lives were cut.
35 years ago, the Polytechnique happened, and we need to just stand on the backs of those dead women and
You know what's really funny?
What?
They don't mention that guy was a left-wing nut job.
No, they do not. Because that really wouldn't help any of their talking points. Yeah, he was a Marxist, wasn't he?
Yeah. No one ever can't say that, though.
No, you can't say he was a radical, women-hating Marxist.
Short in a brutal act of violence at l'École Polytechnique, killed simply because...
Okay.
Look up the Wikipedia article on it. What's going to be misappropriated in that?
Cause yeah, I've just realized that happened the same year I was born. Okay, 14 young women were murdered, blah 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 blah. École Polytechnique tragedy, Montreal massacre, the Canadian Encyclopedia. Let's see, this should help. Let's see. On December 6th, 1989, a man entered a mechanical engineering classroom at l'École Montréal's École Polytechnique armed with a semi-automatic weapon. No, not a semi-automatic weapon! Oh my God, save us all! After separating the women from the men, he opened fire on the women while screaming, "You are all feminists. You are all feminists." Okay, so he was an anti-feminist Marxist. 14 women lost their lives that way. The event, which became known as the Montreal Massacre, sent shockwaves through Quebec and the rest of Canada. In the days and weeks that followed, there was widespread public debate focused on the cause and motive for the attack. For some, the actions of the shooter, Marc Lépine, were an isolated incident without any social significance. For others, it revealed a profound malaise about the place of women in society. They suggested the tragedy was indicative of deeply rooted and widespread anti-feminist sentiment. The event led to larger debates about violence against women and stricter gun control laws in Canada. After the events of December 6th, the Coalition of Gun Control was formed. Oh, that's where Bill C-68 came from, the federal firearm control legislation. Its stipulations included mandatory registrations of all firearms and licensing for firearm owners, a national registry for all weapons, background checks and verification processes, and controls on ammunition sales. I am old, I remember that. I was 5 months old. I could still see when this happened. Jesus Christ, that just blew my mind. I could still see my toys and everything when that happened.
Because they were women. Gender-based violence must not be tolerated in this country, and we all have a role to play.
What does gender-based violence have to do with that question?
Member for Thornhill.
Madam Speaker, Conservatives on this side of the House stand in solidarity with all of the victims' families.
Thank you. Good job, Melissa. Good job. Don't let them fucking...
My question, however, was about the finance minister and the fact that she is hiding today. She's hiding. She hasn't hidden the fact that she's doubled Canada's debt. She gave us the highest inflation in 40 years, and she delivered the lowest projected growth of any advanced economy. Right. She's trying to hide the truth for Canadians. So I will ask once again, if she doesn't want to come clean, can anybody on that side of the House tell us exactly how much Canada's deficit is this year?
I'm guessing about 50 billion. With a B.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, Madam Speaker, we'll put our record up against the Conservatives any day of the week.
Oh, you will you? Oh.
Let me quote from a former governor of the Bank of Canada, David Dodge. He said, because it was obsessively focused on reducing the federal deficit over fiscal years 2011 and 12 through 2015, the Harper government unnecessarily contributed to a slower, rather more muted recovery. So
what does that have to do with what's going on right now?
Conservatives slowed down our recovery. We have accelerated our post-pandemic recovery.
No, you haven't. You've accelerated our fucking downfall. That's what you've accelerated.
Track to have the highest growth rate in the G7. That's in addition to Canadian work.
Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Madam Speaker, if that minister wants to put his money where his mouth is, he should call a carbon tax
election.
and let Canadians decide.
Call the
finance
election.
Minister, however, is going to have to find another job after the next election, and maybe she'll find out that you can't turn in your work that's been overdue. It's something that we learn in grade school, and she must have skipped that day. Her government lost control of our borders. They've lost control of immigration. They've clearly lost control of the deficit too, and they're trying to cover up their tracks. Yeah. So I will ask again for those in the back, and I will say it slower. What is Canada's deficit this year?
Good job, Melisa Lansman, taking on the Polyev.
Secretary.
Let's just review, Madam Speaker, the Conservative track record on affordability. So they will not support feeding hungry kids healthy meals at school.
Because those meals aren't healthy. They're bullshit.
1,000 more kids, they say, no, we don't want to feed you.
They're prison food.
They will not support a GST break over the holidays.
No,
on
because
food,
it's a bullshit GST. It's a bullshit break.
Over the holidays, they say, no, we won't support a GST cut for Canadians. They also won't lift a finger to fight climate change, which is cited in the report as being the greatest driver.
They won't lift a finger to help with climate change. Oh, okay. That's why he's got a plan for clean, green
inflation.
Energy, right?
When will they get on side with Canadians and actually support?
The honourable member for Lévis-Lobinière.
I hate you. Why are you back?
Have not even tabled an economic statement this fall. The parliamentary budget officer was very clear. Our 2023-24 financial audits have not even been tabled. It's a historic lack of transparency in the history of our country. Canadians deserve to know how high the deficit is for this fiscal year ending on March 31st, 2024.
Merci, Madame Présidente. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for the question.
Sure, they're gonna thank the French colleague for the question, but not Melisa Lansman, huh?
Our government has been investing to increase the number of jobs.
What about Pierre offering Freeland 2 hours on their day? Yeah, that's a good one. He offered Freeland 2 hours to talk about the budget, the fall economic statement, and she's like, nope.
Throughout the country, and today there's some good news. There are 51,000 new jobs for Canadians.
It's going to help grow the economy. It's going to help transition into a modern economy. It's going to build the homes Canadians need, and importantly, provide the support to the families who are dealing with a higher cost of living. It's a shame that the Conservatives, every step of the way, oppose these measures.
The honourable member. Madam Speaker, twice this government voted to keep this bad government in place.
Yep.
And yet, this government doesn't even seem to be able to cap its inflationary deficit at $40 billion, which is leading to an increase of $800 in grocery costs for the average family in 2025. Which means that now children are having to ask Santa for basic necessities of life. Canadians want to know.
That's really sad. That's really sad. If kids are actually writing to Santa asking for food, that's fucking heartbreaking.
How high will this inflationary deficit be? The Honourable Minister. Honestly, it's very difficult to accept this question when this very week the member had an opportunity to vote to reduce taxes on food.
But the food, oh my god. Taxes are already off essentials at the grocery store. We don't need the GST holiday.
But
we need a fucking carbon tax holiday forever.
He will have, in the near future, another opportunity to vote on programs for school lunch programs throughout the country. I wonder if he's going to vote against that once again.
I would.
Madam Speaker, in this House, we need to support families and communities. But at every possible opportunity, the Conservative Party votes against that. The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Madam Speaker, the National Assembly of Quebec has unanimously asked the federal government to repeal the religious exception in the Criminal Code, which enables hate speech to be proffered on the basis of faith.
Yeah. Do you want to say horrible things about another group of people? Say it's your religious freedom.
Religion is no excuse for hate. We might think that everyone agrees about that, but on Wednesday, the Liberals blocked a motion to defend a simple principle.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Yet, the Minister of Justice says that he wants to fight hate speech. So what does he have to say to his colleagues who want the federal government to protect religious extremists who are inciting violence? The Honorable Minister of Justice. Inaudible for the interpreter.
Inaudible for the interpreter.
Madam Speaker, what I can say is that on this side of the House, we are for any effort to fight hate, especially the increase in anti-Semitism that we're seeing in Quebec and elsewhere in Canada.
Oh, really? Where?
We want to work together to improve a piece of legislation that's already in this House. Bill C-63, the Online Harms Act. We're very happy to work with the Bloc to improve and pass that bill. The Honourable Member. Well, the National Assembly of Quebec wants to get rid of this religious exception, but in Ottawa, there are some MPs
yes,
who
regular food is already not there. Exactly.
To protect hate speech and the religious exception.
Take the GS. In Quebec, just get rid of the carbon tax and we'll be happy.
Social peace and solidarity, but in Ottawa, some want to sow division and violence. In Quebec, we defend secularism, but in Ottawa, some people are defending the right to commit crimes in the name of religion. This is ridiculous. Religion is no excuse for crimes. It is ridiculous. What is?
You should never be able to hide behind your religion just to say, oh, well, I believe that people are this way because of my religion.
The Honourable Minister. Madam Speaker, on this side of the House, we have a national strategy to fight hate, as well as Bill C-63.
Fuck your Bill C-63.
Which addresses online radicalization, where many of these problems begin.
Yes, it's all online. It's all online. It's nothing to do with anything else. It's just all online.
And then after that online radicalization, we often see real-life hate and crimes. We also know that this bill, our online harms bill, will address the same section of the criminal code as the one referenced by the Bloc Québécois bill. And
why does the online harms bill have to address it? Why can't you just address it now?
We're happy to work with them on this.
Burnaby Sid. Liberals and Conservatives have a choice. Will they support Canadians in real cost of living relief, or will they just keep letting Canadians get ripped off? The NDP is forcing a vote in this House to permanently scrap the GST off of all family essentials.
The Parliamentary Secretary for Jagmeet Singh is asking this question.
Be extended to seniors and students and people with disabilities. It's time for Canadians to come first, not the profits of ultra-rich corporations. So will the government support our plan? The NDP plan to help Canadians put food on the table and keep a roof over their head.
I just want to say I introduced the honourable member as a different riding, so it's New Westminster Burnaby. I'll correct that in the record. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it's great to see the NDP getting behind a tax break for Canadians over the holidays on essential goods at the grocery store, kids' toys, Christmas trees, everything that will make this holiday season.
Yes. The tax off of a $50 Christmas tree is really going to make or break people.
And a little bit more merry and bright for Canadians. It's too bad the Conservatives won't stand up to do the same, especially given the fact that they campaigned on this in the last election.
They didn't
it's truly the height of hypocrisy,
That's for
Madam
sure.
Speaker. I'm not sure when Conservatives will get on board with actually supporting Canadians.
The Honourable for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
Madam Speaker, everyone should be able to afford a good home and to save for a rainy day.
Yep.
But people in Nanaimo Ladysmith are struggling. They need permanent, not temporary relief. The Conservatives are a threat to this relief.
No, they're not.
For those
Shut
who
up,
need it most. They only want to get tax breaks for billionaires while everyday Canadians pay the price. And the Liberals have clearly let Canadians down. Will the Liberals give people in Nanaimo Ladysmith the break they need to permanently remove GST off essentials? Yes or no?
No, they're not going to permanently remove the GST off of essentials because the GST brings in too much money.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, it's clear that the Liberal Party of Canada and our government believes in giving Canadians a break over the holidays. That relief will certainly save families money over the holidays. Much needed relief after the struggles that many workers and Canadians have gone through over the inflationary pressures that they've felt over many months. It's too bad that the Conservative Party of Canada just will not step up and support Canadians. They've obsessively harped in this House about giving Canadians tax breaks, and then when the opportunity arises, they will not step up to actually support Canadians.
The member of Niagara Falls.
Speaker, after 9 years of this failed NDP Liberal government, more and more Canadians are going hungry. They see the Liberal 2-month tax trick for what it is, nothing more than a lump of coal in their Christmas stockings. 1 million people are visiting a food bank each month in Ontario, and in Niagara Falls, 120 families per day on average are visiting Project Share, our local food bank, because they cannot afford groceries.
120 families a day. 120 families a day are going to that food bank. That's crazy.
NDP Liberal government axed the carbon tax to provide the permanent broad-based tax relief Canadians need and deserve.
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister.
Well, I've got some good news to share with that member, because just a few weeks ago, we signed an agreement with the province of Ontario for our National School Food Program.
So we're now going to give bread and water to the poor, hungry kids, and they should be grateful for it.
This means an additional 160,000 kids this school year will have access to healthy food at school. This is help for parents in a stressful and affordable or expensive time. She just said a stressful and affordable, I mean expensive time. Oh my God. Oh my God, you out of touch woman. And it ensures that kids can focus on being kids and can focus on learning. When will the Conservatives get on side and support these measures for families?
Hear, hear. Member from Niagara Falls.
Speaker, a 2-month Liberal tax trick does not provide the broad-based permanent tax relief Canadians need. And sadly, they plan to raise the carbon tax again next year. 1 in 7 residents in my community of Niagara Falls have visited Project Share. Almost 5,000 residents visited for the first time last year alone. Crazy. Canadians need our help. They need permanent, broad-based tax relief. When will this government finally call a carbon tax election so we can scrap the tax?
That's a never, Ghost Rider.
I'd like to remind that member that the last time that they were in government, that the poverty rate for children was 16%, Madam Speaker. We have lifted hundreds affordable stress as opposed to Apple or premium stress. Hundreds of thousands of kids out of poverty. And the single
Why
most
is this
effective
woman
measure
so fucking hot? What Zapan is she on? Laura?
Child
Traza?
benefit, ensuring parents have support each and every month to be able to afford the essentials for their family. And guess who voted against it? Guess who vows to dissolve it, Madam Speaker? The Conservatives.
I'm so high.
Madam Speaker, the first thing a government has to get right is the basics for Canadians. That's food and shelter. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, these costs are way up. Housing costs have doubled. Even more basic food costs continue to escalate, and food bank usage is up 90%. Let them eat cake is not an effective strategy.
This makes let them eat cake look like, here, let me give you everything in the fucking palace. That's what that looks like. That's what this makes let them eat cake look like. Let them eat cake. No, this makes Marie Antoinette look like she was handing out food to the villagers. That's what this looks
like. The root cause
like.
Of
This
inflation,
is
and
bad.
this government still does not get that. Reality is landing on the plates of Canadians. When will this government take a lesson and stop its economic mayhem?
Never. The Minister.
My colleague points to food and shelter as
16%,
pressure points for Canadian households. I actually agree, but let's actually look at what the different parties are proposing to do about it. First, on food, he's complaining about the high price when he literally is voting against a tax break on food. He's literally opposing a national school food program, which is helping hungry kids eat.
They're not oh my God. Bread and water is not a school food program.
Speaker, when it comes to shelter, his own city is benefiting from hundreds of millions of dollars in investments directly to build homes more quickly.
And where are the
he is
homes?
Supporting a leader who vows to cut that program.
Where are all the homes? I mean, I know it's winter and we're not building homes right now, but where are the homes that could have been built already?
From the Conservative Party, who cuts the very programs that put food on the table for families.
Member for Calgary Centre.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This member keeps trying to talk about putting Band-Aids on the wounds his economic policies are causing.
Yeah.
But step one is to reverse inflationary policies. Cancel the carbon tax that it hikes the price of food, fuel, and rent. Food inflation has skyrocketed by over 30%.
The Let Them Eat Cake was a guide to tax avoidment, just forgetting the basic costs.
6% over the past 8 years. Higher deficits lead to higher inflation and a weaker Canadian dollar, leading to more inflation. This spending isn't free. Just ask the 2 million Canadians lining up at food banks. Time is up. When will this Prime Minister call a carbon tax election?
When he actually shows his face in Parliament for more than 2 days a week.
The Honourable Minister.
It is hard to understand how a member whose city is receiving $228 million for housing considers that to be a Band-Aid solution.
Because the housing isn't there. The housing isn't there, that's why. It's where are these houses that this $228 million was supposed to have built?
Does he think it is a Band-Aid solution that we are helping his city lead the country when it comes to converting office spaces to homes for Canadians? Does he think it is a Band-Aid solution that we are advancing a permanent program that's going to feed hungry kids in school? I have great respect for that honourable member. I love the city that he calls home, as it once provided a home to me.
Oh, please. Please, Sean.
It's difficult, once again, to accept questions on the cost of food and shelter from a member in a party who opposes the policies that make it easier to put food on the table for families and keep a roof over their head.
The Honourable Member from Montmagny-Lisle-Kamouraska-Rivière-du-Loup. Madam Speaker, after 9 years of this Liberal government, the cost of living is unbearable. Canadians are living through an unprecedented crisis. And yet, what is the Bloc Québécois doing? It's betrayed Quebecers. It has voted for $500 million in spending. And this year, more than 33,000 Quebec children
Cost of living is shit here.
Gifts and amusements like a winter coat, a lunchbox, or even a home for their family. In a country like Canada, this is shameful. Can the Liberal Bloc give Quebecers a break and stop supporting this Liberal Prime Minister who is constantly making people poorer? The Honourable Minister.
Member for the question. When I am out and about my community talking to parents, I recently had a conversation with Olivier.
You sound so high.
Who just
what is
had
the
their
matter with you?
Fourth child, and he shared with me the impact of the Canada Child Benefit for his family. He shared with me the impact.
Yeah, if you have 4 kids, you're gonna get a lot of money from the government. If you have 4 kids, you're gonna get like $3,000 a month from the government. Of course that's helpful.
Of affordable childcare, enabling both of them to go back to work. These are meaningful measures that we have taken to address affordability for Canadians, in which we continue to see the Conservatives oppose.
It's like they want you to have more kids so that they can look how much money we're giving you. See?
The Honourable Member for Montmagny-Lisle-Kamouraska-Rivière-du-Loup. Madam Speaker, this Prime Minister's inflationary spending, supported by the Bloc Québécois, is crushing Canadians. Today, when Quebec children write to Santa, they are asking for heartbreaking items.
Yeah.
Hundreds are asking for mittens and winter coats. It's horrifying.
It is horrifying. They should be asking for video games and fucking toys and shit like that. Not coats and
This should not be
boots
happening
and
in a country
food.
like Canada. When will this Liberal Bloc stop harming Quebec families like this and stealing our children's dreams? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are hearing that we need to help families with affordability. That's why we've stepped in to help our children with school lunches and school meals. We've brought in a GST break. The Conservatives could vote with us on that.
No, because it's not going to do anything. Why would they vote on that? It's not going to help.
They could be telling their constituents who are suffering over the holidays that they will be supporting them. But on the contrary, they did the exact opposite. They voted against all these measures for our kids. The Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Mille. Madam Speaker, the federal government doesn't even seem to know if our veterans are dead or alive. Imagine, 2 veterans discovered that the 2 sculptures have been made of them in a monument to honor veterans who have died in combat.
Wait, what?
Veterans discovered. Seem to know if our the Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Mille. Madam Speaker, the federal government doesn't even seem to know if our veterans are dead or alive. Imagine, 2 veterans discovered that the 2 sculptures have been made of them in a monument to honor veterans who have died in combat.
Jesus Christ! Could you imagine being just walking along and there's a memorial and your name is on it and you're not dead?
In Ontario. And out of 67 people on the monument, 12 of them are alive and 4 of them never even served. A complaint was made and their names have been removed from the plaque, but their image is still on the sculpture, standing among the dead.
That's horrible. That's absolutely terrible. How does that even happen?
Will the minister finally get rid of this sculpture and apologize?
Employment, workforce development, and official languages.
Madam Speaker, I thank the honourable member for raising this issue in this House.
Wait. This is the Minister for Development and Official Languages, and he's answering in English?
I can confirm.
He's answering a question asked in English, or in French, in English.
Madam Speaker, I thank the honourable member for raising this issue in this House. I can confirm the department has not provided funding to this specific project.
The rumors of my death
and the
are
VAC was not asked to validate the list of names featured on the memorial. That said, Veterans Affairs is in touch with the organization to rectify the matter, and we will. The executive director of Trees for Life has said this issue is a major priority.
It's a majority priority
to get this rectified, and we expect that this will be done swiftly and without delay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Mille. Madam Speaker, they don't even seem to know what they spent money on or not. No one seems to have checked what the $2.9 million in 2019 was used for, even after the monument was unveiled in 2022, and there were Liberal MPs there. No one seemed to realize that they had paid for sculptures where living service members had been named among the list of the dead.
How does that even happen? How do you accidentally include service members that are alive in the dead
These veterans
soldiers?
Had to complain in 2023, and yet, as late as Monday, the minister didn't seem to know anything about the situation. So 5 years later, these 2 sculptures show very clearly that this federal government is only a monument to incompetence. Will the minister get rid of these sculptures?
Madam Speaker, je peux confirmer que
Madam Speaker, I can confirm that the department did not grant money to this specific project and that Veterans Affairs Canada was not asked to verify the names on the memorial.
Why? Why would Veterans Affairs Canada not be asked to vet the names on the memorial?
That said, the department has reached out to the organization to rectify the situation. And I expect that to be dealt with without any further delay.
The honourable member for Miramichi Grand Lake.
Madam Speaker, the Prime Minister and his new BFF, the Maserati Marxist, have never been more out of touch. Their punishing carbon tax makes your gas, groceries and heating more expensive. The Carbon Tax Coalition has doubled housing costs, doubled rent, doubled mortgage payments, and doubled down payments for a home. Workers cannot afford to pay their rent or mortgages, and Canadians are out of money. When will the Prime Minister call a carbon tax election so we can axe the tax for good?
There you go. That's a pretty succinct question.
Again, I want to remind members to be judicial on the words that they use and
oh, shut up, Fergus, let it happen.
To use them to describe other members. The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I just want to clarify the record for everyone who's watching question period on a Friday morning that the coalition on carbon pricing actually fissured this year when the NDP abandoned their policy on carbon pricing.
Oh, please. The NDP is still backing you up and propping you up, so shut up.
It is known as the most effective economic measure to bring down the price of pollution and also to boost economic activity. Witness the Canada Carbon Rebate to individuals, and now witness the Canada Carbon Rebate being applied to small businesses.
Oh, it's being applied to small businesses, is it? Is it being applied to small businesses that have 100 employees or less? I'm going to say no.
As much as tens of thousands of dollars depending on the size of your business. It is an economic model that is proven in terms of the evidence and is a model that helps to bring down emissions. I would just hope that the NDP would get back on board.
Don't all additions to official memorials have to go through Veterans Affairs or similar offices? You would think so. You would think so, but apparently not.
For Miramichi Grand Lake.
Madam Speaker, the government has killed small business, and it's all for the pension when it comes to the NDP. Next week, the NDP leader will be forced to vote on his own words.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate test of who he is. Does he mean what he says, or are his words meaningless?
The next No Confidence Day is Monday, and we will be covering it.
Before by-election, the NDP leader gets his pension, the Prime Minister gets his power, Canadians get the bill. Stop the charade, end the games, call a carbon tax election now.
Oh. Why are we muting the...
So just a reminder that the questions have to do with the administration of the House.
Oh, that was with... What the fuck? This speaker makes Fergus look like a fucking middle centrist right down the center line. Holy shit.
So I just want to remind members of that. Okay. That's not a question on the administration of the House. The Honourable
Yes, it is.
Lake Country.
After 9 years of
This absolutely was a question of administration of the House.
this NDP Liberal government, Canadian families are paying the price for the Prime Minister's inflationary carbon tax. Canada's food price report just revealed a family of four will spend $800 more on food in 2025.
Yep. $800 more on food next year.
36% faster in Canada than the United States. Taxing farmers, truckers, and ultimately families have driven millions of Canadians to food banks. And yet, the Liberals are hiking the carbon tax again. Will the Prime Minister finally give families some relief and cancel his punitive carbon tax?
No.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, 15 cents on a $100 bill. That's how small the impact of carbon pricing truly is.
No, it is not. No, it is not just 15 cents on a $100 bill. Apparently, when Pincalo fills up his tank, he's only paying 15 cents in carbon tax. That's bullshit right there.
But when we offer Canadians a GST tax cut over the holidays, which is 100 times greater than that, the Conservatives oppose it.
Sounds like that memorial was someone's legacy project, so they skipped the regular vetting provinces. Blah, 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 blah. A dangerous tenant, obviously. Yep.
Conservatives demonstrate in this House every single day how they are not supporting Canadians. But this is truly a new height to their hypocrisy.
Oh, shut up.
What this member does 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, food bank usage is actually up 90%. Rising food costs driven by the carbon tax mean the average family will spend $16,800 on food next year. People who used to donate to food banks are now clients. Yep. Canadians are struggling, and yet the Prime Minister will quadruple the carbon tax to 61 cents a litre.
Yeah. So for every liter of gas, so say you fill up an 80-liter tank, that's 61 cents per liter. So let's say gas is $1.50 and you fill up 80 liters of gas. How much of that's carbon tax?
Will the Prime Minister admit his failed policies and that are making food unaffordable and cancel the carbon tax so families can put food on their table?
Honourable Minister.
I challenge that member to point to a single thing.
Say your challenge without slurring once, lady, and I will accept your challenge.
That her party has done
failed.
To help Canadians address
you failed again.
The issues. Frankly, it's appalling, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will continue to put forward measures like a GST holiday, like the Canada Child Benefit, to ensure that families have the support that they need through these expensive times while they continue to deny Canadians the support that they need.
Like I said, say that without slurring, and then maybe your challenge will be taken up.
The honourable member for Skeena Bulkley Valley.
Madam Speaker, it's disappointing that at a time when so many families are struggling to afford the basic essentials, we see the Conservatives voting against a GST tax cut.
Yes, because it's a useless tax cut. They are not voting in favor of useless tax cuts.
Christmas, no less. And the Liberals, classic half measure not only doesn't put enough money back in people's pockets, it requires small businesses to change their prices twice in 2 months at the busiest time of year.
Yep.
Why won't the Liberals vote for our plan? Expand the GST tax cut, make it permanent, put more money back in people's pockets, and give small businesses a break. Why not?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, a GST tax break for Canadians over the holidays on essentials is going to make life more affordable for them for the next 2 months.
No, it isn't.
That is good news for Canadians. It's great to see the NDP behind that proposal from the government. It's a shame that the Conservatives, who harp about cutting taxes for months and months and months and months in this House, for as long as I can remember, would actually stand up in this House and oppose a tax break for Canadians over the holidays. They're not serious, Madam Speaker. That's clear. All Canadians should wake up and realize that the Conservatives just won't be there to support them.
Port Modi Coquitlam.
More than half of women living on the streets are survivors of domestic violence. And women with disabilities are even more vulnerable because when they marry, the government claws back their disability benefits.
Yep. That doesn't make it automatically that they're being abused. It just means that the government wants you to be financially dependent on your spouse. Just because your disability benefits are clawed back because you're married doesn't mean you're being abused by your partner. I hate when people say that. But yes, they do claw back your disability benefit. Like, I'm entitled to over $2,000. I don't get that. Because I'm married.
Choose between abuse or homelessness. The Liberals have let women with disabilities down, and we know what happened to support for women when Conservatives were in power. Cuts, cuts, and cuts. Will the Liberals stop their cruel and callous clawbacks that put women with disabilities in danger?
Yes, good question. The Honourable Minister.
Madam Speaker, for the first time in Canada, there is a benefit designed to specifically help persons with disabilities.
$200 a month is not going to help anybody suffering with an abusive situation, you absolute flagrant ninny. How on earth is somebody going to get out of a situation with $200 a month extra? And if they're being abused, how do you know that that $200 isn't going to just get taken by their abuser? Jesus Christ.
and of course it's going to help women with disabilities as well. This is a historic step, Madam Speaker.
Oh yeah, it's a historic step. Yes, yes. A whole $1,200 a year, or $2,400 a year is so historic. $200 whole a month for being disabled and being not able to work, and then the province is probably going to claw that back
to address
too.
a long-standing poverty amongst working-age persons with disabilities. Like other progressive programs, we're going to make sure we're continue to expand it to make sure all Canadians with disabilities, working-age Canadians with disabilities are supported, particularly some of the most vulnerable women. Thank you.
The most vulnerable women. Yeah, okay. Because $200 a month is really going to help them out.
So before I go to the next question, I'm going to allow the honourable member for Miramichi-Grand Lake to re-ask his question because I hadn't heard the end of the question, but I do want to remind members that they should link their question to the administration of the House.
Which he did.
A little earlier in their question so that we know where this is heading. The honourable member for Miramichi-Grand Lake.
Just so you know, seriously, that's why I fucking spam my Streamlabs like all the time.
The NDP leader will be forced to vote on his own words. The ultimate test of who he is as a leader. Does he mean it or not? When he said he ripped up the supply agreement, it was just a stunt before a by-election. The NDP leader gets his pension, the Prime Minister gets his power, Canadians get the bill. It's time to call a carbon tax election, stop the charade, end the games, call the election now.
That's not a question of the...
Okay, so there was, I thought I hadn't heard quite the thing. There was actually no question in that comment. I'm not sure,
I like you when you call them ninny. It's much classier than poopy heads. Or...
Not sure if anybody wants to respond to it at this point.
Spawn trumpets.
So
I like that.
Response to it.
I like that. I like that bloviating spawn trumpet. I like that.
St. John's East.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today we remember the 14 young women who were killed during the
polytechnic weapons.
Words going to be going up again.
The honourable member Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
The NDP will once again sell out Canadians on Monday by refusing to stand by their own words, because here's the deal. The NDP leader gets his pension, the Prime Minister gets the power, and Canadians get the bill. And those bills are ever increasing when you look at the carbon tax that is going to be going up again on April the 1st on their way to quadrupling it. And It was the Canada Food Price Report for 2025 that revealed just yesterday that an average family of four in Canada will pay $800 a year more in groceries next year. 2 million visits to a food bank. Why can't the Liberals and NDP just allow a carbon tax election to either quadruple it or allow Conservatives to axe it entirely?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, a lot of questions about what the NDP is doing in terms of supporting parliamentary process. Let me talk about one thing that is very salient for today. Today is December the 6th, the anniversary of...
Stop with the fucking Polytechnique shit.
Shot down in cold blood at the École Polytechnique. What the NDP is doing is supporting a bill on the floor of this chamber that will help tackle the root causes of violence against women. What am I talking about? I'm talking about radical misogyny that starts online. The Bill C-63 and the Online Harms Act help us target
it's all Bill C-63 that can save women from violence.
That is something that every member of Parliament needs to get behind, and we need to do it now because time is wasting about keeping women safe.
Oh, yes, yes. We're all very, very scared that somebody with guns is going to come and kill us all. Yep.
The honourable member for, Stormont Dundas, South Glengarry.
We stand in solidarity with the victims and their families as always, each and every year. The NDP, though, has to answer for what is going on the NDP motion, because he won't back up their own words by what they've said in just recent months. It was the NDP leader that said the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. He said he ripped up the coalition agreement that's kept the Liberals in power, yet as soon as the stunt got over, he taped it back together and gave it back to the Prime Minister. So the question, Madam Speaker, for the Liberals is, will they work with the NDP finally and not quadruple the carbon tax, but allow Canadians to have their say in a carbon tax election, or are they too scared to what Canadians have to say to them?
There you go. That's how you link the question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the people of Canada have had their say on carbon taxes in the last election. In fact, the Conservative Party, when they were in power, passed a bill called the Fixed Date Election Bill. So they keep calling. They want us to break the law. We
didn't vote on a carbon tax in the last election. Shut up.
We can break the law. We're not that kind of people.
Wait, what did he say?
Election bill. Party, when they were in power, passed a bill called the Fixed Date Election Bill. So they keep calling. They want us to break the law. We won't break the law. You can break the law. We're not that kind of people.
Oh, wow. So a vote of no confidence to force an election is now breaking the law? Really?
Just want to remind the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary he's to address questions and comments through the chair and not directly to the members. The Honourable Member for Kenora.
Madam Speaker, the government cannot be administered without the confidence of this House, and the NDP leader once said the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for Canadians. And now, Madam Speaker, the NDP leader says that he's going to vote against his own words and in favour of propping up this Liberal government. A government that has doubled housing costs, that has caused 2 million Canadians to visit a food bank in a single month, and plans to quadruple the carbon tax, Madam Speaker. So instead, why don't they call a carbon tax election so that Canadians can choose between the costly coalition or our common sense plan to axe the tax?
The Honourable Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, I will just point out for Canadians watching today that we've actually had 3 elections in a row on pricing pollution, on ensuring that no one in this country gets away with polluting for free. That was the 2015 election.
No one gets away with polluting for free. What are you, Captain Planet?
The 2019 election and the 2021 election, when that party actually campaigned on pricing pollution themselves. What I would say is that it's proving dividends in terms of the Canadian economy.
Oh,
how is it doing so?
really?
Because we are returning more money to 8 out of 10 families through the Canada Carbon Rebate and through the Canada Carbon Rebate delivered to small businesses.
The Honourable Member for Kenora.
Madam Speaker, that is simply not true, and the Parliamentary Budget Officer has confirmed it. And we know that this NDP Liberal coalition is planning to hike taxes again next year, despite the theatrical display of ripping up their confidence and supply agreement. Madam Speaker, this coalition is still alive and well. And even when Liberal MPs are calling for a new Prime Minister, this NDP leader is the only person that is keeping the Prime Minister in power. Once again, Mr. Speaker, instead, why don't they give Canadians a chance to vote in a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Parliamentary...
Yep.
Secretary.
Well, Conservatives want to talk about confidence, Madam Speaker. You know what the Canadians can have confidence in? They can have confidence in our government to deliver.
You can't even
programs
say
and
that without
services that make their
stuttering.
life
So
more
how are we
affordable,
supposed to have confidence in you?
quality of life, like our early learning and childcare program. Jim Stanford, a very famous economist in this country, just did a report on the success of that program, that it's created 110,000 additional work opportunities.
And how many daycare centers opted out of your program because it's unobtainable?
And contributed $32 billion in GDP to the Canadian economy, and that's while saving Canadians 28% on average on their child care costs. We are proving that you can invest.
For Caribou Prince George.
The Honourable Member for LaSalle Aymar Verdun.
Wow, good job, lady. You can't even tell who's who.
Madam Speaker, cycling in Montreal happens in winter and summer, at least when the federal government doesn't get in the way. Imagine the city offers to clear the snow from the bike path on the south side of the Lachine Canal at its own expense, but Ottawa refuses. Parks Canada doesn't have to make any effort, and yet it's too much to ask. On November 11th, the Southwest Borough passed a unanimous resolution asking Parks Canada to authorize snow removal.
Okay.
I also question the Minister of the Environment. Is he going to ask Parks Canada to get out of the way?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. First, that is a point for the municipal government. It's a municipal issue. Once again, Madam Speaker, well, Well, if there's opportunity after question period, I'd be very happy to speak with that colleague on this issue. But for me, this is clearly a municipal issue.
Yeah,
Honourable
it
Member
was.
for LaSalle, Irmar Verdun. Madam Speaker, Parks Canada is federal, and the citizens of Southwest aren't asking for too much. They simply want snow-cleared access to downtown. The city would do the work, and the city would foot the bill. Parks Canada has yet to disclose a single well-documented fact or reason for its staggering refusal.
Oh, okay, so Parks Canada isn't letting the city do this. Okay.
The Minister of the Environment is himself a fan of active transportation. He too must think it makes no sense. With Montreal already snowed under, will the Minister of the Environment and the member for Ville-Sainte-Marie finally settle this issue? Madam Speaker, what I'd like to underscore that on this side of the House, we are promoting active transit, jogging, walking, and people who ride their bikes at Montreal, Toronto, across Canada. If he wants to discuss this more after question period, we would be comfortable.
They started giving out children vouchers to the unemployed at about $400 per month. Childcare went up to that minimum. Working families needed it couldn't afford childcare anymore.
Talking about how we can help the city of Montreal with their job of removing snow from bike paths. Thank you.
Remember Caribou Prince George? The Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for the people. Who said that? The Twitter-tough Maserati Marxist sellout NDP leader. He puffed up his chest, stomped his feet, yet he chooses the Prime Minister over Canadians each and every time. He's the only one propping up this government. He's complicit in every Liberal scandal and every failed policy. On Monday, will he vote for a carbon tax election?
That's not to do with the government administration.
That question definitely has no relevance to the administration of the House, and I want to ask members to please not be yelling out when others are speaking. The honourable member for Caribou Prince George, and it has to be with the administration of the House, or else I will cut him off and we'll go to another question. The honourable member for Caribou Prince George.
Madam Speaker, they're weak, they're desperate, and the only reason why they're in power is because of the NDP leaders too selfish and too beholden to the Prime Minister to support his own motion made up of entirely his own words. They voted 24 times to quadruple the carbon tax. The Costly Coalition has doubled housing costs, doubled rent, doubled mortgage payments. But on Monday, they all have an opportunity. Will the NDP leader put the people above his pension?
Sorry, again, the honourable member is not being relevant to the administration of the House. We are going to move on, and next time, the next question for the members will be cut. He was asking the question. Does the honourable member, is it relevant to the administration of the House?
Yes.
That's for carbon tax election. Is that not relevant to the administration of the House?
The honourable member. The honourable member will finish this question, and if it's not relevant, then the next question will be passed on. The honourable member.
Madam Speaker, they're weak, they're desperate, and the only reason why they're in power today is because of the Maserati Marxist NDP leader, who's too selfish, too beholden to the Prime Minister to support a motion made up entirely of his own words.
Member to read his whole question. If he can just finish the question at the bottom, please.
Wow.
Madam Speaker, on Monday, we have an opportunity. Will the NDP vote for a motion to call a carbon tax election?
Oh my God, this is bullshit.
Of the government. The honourable member, and if this continues, the honourable members will end up losing a question. The honourable member for Bow River.
Wow. If this continues, the honourable members will lose a question. Is that even allowed? Is that even allowed for the speaker to take a question away?
Thank you. The leader of the NDP says he ripped up his coalition agreement with the Prime Minister, calling him weak, selfish, and beholden to corporate interests. Conservatives agree. The NDP leader can prove it by putting his pension where his mouth is and vote non-confidence in this Prime Minister. After 9 years of the NDP Liberal coalition, housing, rent have doubled, and they will quadruple the carbon tax, driving up the cost of gas, groceries, and home heating. Will the government give the Canadians relief they need by calling a carbon tax election now?
Are you going to say that doesn't have anything to do with the administration?
Minister.
Madam Speaker, a lot of us are struggling to understand the nature of today's question period, but I think I've discerned what it is. The official opposition seems to be off their game because they're not using a lot of three-word slogans. And because of that, it's actually...
Okay, so first they're using too many slogans. And then when they don't use any slogans, now they're off their game because they're not using slogans. Which one do you want? Which thing do you want? Oh my God.
What I can say simply about housing is that we support housing, and we support the housing accelerator that I think 17 members of the official opposition advocated for before they were told not to by their leader. Secondly, we support the fight for the environment, and we will continue to advocate for making sure pollution is not free, and we will participate and work with any party that wants to support us in that endeavor, because it supports the environment.
The honourable member for Humber River Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Well, the holiday season is fast approaching, which means many Canadians will soon be celebrating with family and friends. But what we also know is what Canadians are getting in their Christmas stockings this year from the leader of the opposition.
Oh, shut up.
Broken campaign promises and hypocritical speeches, and more of that.
Skip.
And questions and comments have to do with the
against removing a tax. Can the Leader of the Opposition explain her in her leadership? Last week, this House voted to give Canadians a real break by allowing Canadians.
Comments have to do with the administration of the government, and it's not to ask. He asked the question to the Leader of the Opposition.
He did.
The honourable member for Calgary-Mindapore.
Thank you very much. Madam Speaker, the facts don't lie. The leader of the NDP with this Prime Minister voted for the carbon tax 24 times, and they will do it again next week. This leader of the NDP, along with the Prime Minister, will quadruple the carbon tax in the spring. He's the one who created the coalition agreement with this government that has doubled mortgages, doubled housing prices, and has sent 2 million Canadians to food banks. So this coming Monday, the leader of the NDP has a decision. Will he continue to prop up this Prime Minister for his pension, or will he call a carbon tax election?
No. They want the thing that ensures their opponents lose. Yep. That's pretty much exactly it.
So again, I would just, it's very clear that individuals are playing with words and that these questions are not to do with the administration of the government. You cannot ask a leader of another party or other members to respond to these questions. It should be to the administration of the government and to the government to respond.
Yep.
The honourable member for Calgary-Mindapore, I hope that her other question is related to the administration and is asked to the government.
She said, when are they going to call a carbon tax election? That's related to the administration of government.
The honourable member will, I will have to cut her off. The honourable member, Calgary-Mindapore.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Well, just over 3 months ago, the leader of the NDP ripped up the agreement he had with the government. He had the agreement with the government. moment, Madam Speaker. He said that the Prime Minister was too weak, too selfish, too beholden to corporate interests to fight for Canadians. So this coming week again, on Monday, Madam Speaker, the leader of the NDP has an opportunity again to decide if he...
Stop asking the question this way. This is why you guys aren't getting it asked. You're asking it the wrong way.
This government, again, or not, is he going to prop up the Prime Minister or allow Canadians?
Again, the honourable member knows full well, I just warned her, and she knows full well that she's not to ask questions of another opposition during question period. She is supposed to ask the government questions. And so this has been going on for quite some time. I would just ask members to please make sure that their preamble has more to do with the work of the government, so that we know that it's going in the right direction, or at least that their end of their question has to do with the government and the administration of the government. The honourable member for... sorry.
The minister wants to respond.
Oh, I see that the minister still wants to respond. The honourable minister.
Well, I think what's really important is to focus on some of the issues. And one of the issues that Canadians are rightfully asking about this House is about the concern about foreign interference and things such as how do we target foreign interference. What I find fascinating is that we've had a lot of discussions about the leader of the NDP. That leader has actually had the courage to get a security clearance and get a briefing to protect this country.
The courage to get a security clearance, is it? Jagmeet was courageous in getting his security clearance.
There's only one member of a party that has not done exactly that,
and
that is the leader of the official opposition.
He's
For
a
a man
scaredy
who would
cat.
purport to assume and want the highest job in this country, I find it actually quite appalling.
Yeah, do you think he's not going to get his security clearance once he becomes Prime Minister, you dolt? Is that what you're trying to actually suggest?
That he doesn't have the courage to work on getting a clearance, getting a briefing, and protecting this country.
The honourable for Regina, Wascana.
The fact is the Liberals are too weak, too selfish, and too beholden to corporate interests to fight for people. Those are the words of the NDP leader, who continues to betray Canadians by propping up this failed Liberal government. The leader of the party that used to represent workers now props up a government that raises the carbon tax, makes homes unaffordable.
Sorry, I want to ask members to please settle down and please extend the respect to the House to the person who has the floor. I will find out soon enough what the question is, and we'll go from there. And if this continues, as I said, we will have to go into a practice of pulling questions from those who are right.
That can't. No. You can't pull questions. You can't pull questions.
Who are trying to pose questions. The honourable member for Regina, Wascana.
The leader of the party that used to represent workers now props up a government that raises the carbon tax, makes homes unaffordable, has lost control of the deficit, and lets crime run loose on our streets. On Monday's vote, will the Prime Minister continue to hide behind the NDP, or will he finally call a carbon tax election?
There you go. That's how you ask that question.
To ask a question on the administration of government business, but while I'm on my feet,
that was
a
government
speak about
administration
what happened yesterday at the Public Safety Committee, where there was pretty shocking testimony about foreign interference in the Conservative election race, confirming that the member from Calgary Nose Hill, in fact, received an angry phone call from the Indian consulate and brought that forward to Mr. Brown's leadership campaign.
Patrick Brown was a provincial leader. Patrick Brown was not a federal leader. What the fuck are you talking about?
Change his language to make the
No, he
Indian
wasn't.
consulate happy. Why aren't conservatives talking?
The honourable member for St. John, Rossi.
Madam Speaker, good thing this question period's almost over. Let's try this. Last week, on the first day of Christmas, the leader of the opposition showed an amazing level of hypocrisy. When this House voted to give Canadians a break, the leader of the opposition decided to vote against it.
Yes, because it's
despite
not
running
a
on it in
break.
the last election. Can the minister explain why providing tax relief for Canadians during the holidays will move our economy forward? And everybody
it won't
have a
move
great
our
weekend and
economy
let's
forward.
relax.
Stop with the softball question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, I want to thank the member from St. John Ross for the question. The hypocrisy of the Conservative leader is absolutely shocking. Get this, during the last election campaign, all Conservative candidates campaigned on a promise to lift the GST during the holiday season. And what did
from everything, not just from stupid shit like this.
Last week, when presented with the opportunity to follow through on that promise, well, guess what? They broke their promise to Canadians by voting against a GST break over the holidays. I don't know what the Leader of the Opposition is planning on serving at Christmas dinner, but I sure hope it's better than the stale slogans and horrendous hypocrisy that he's been serving up in this.
The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
Here is how a government question is asked. Hunters.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Don't piss off the Inuit
Trappers
lady.
in Nunavut rely on their boats to feed their families. 3 years ago, this government promised a small craft harbor for Arctic Bay. 3 years later, this government has not delivered. This harbor would allow more safe hunting and help keep our communities safe from threats in the Arctic. I have fought for this project, and this Liberal government is still ignoring my community. With the government's new Arctic foreign policy released today, will the Liberals finally fund this important project?
If this continues, I'll take the toy off you. Exactly.
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Fisheries, Oceans and Canadian Coast Guard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it is so refreshing today to hear an actual question.
Oh, give it up. Give it up. Don't kiss her ass.
When it comes to small craft harbors, it's the lifeblood of every community in terms of economic development, in terms of social development. And I look forward, I want to learn more about the particular question at hand, and I'm committed to meeting the member, as we all should do, in a collegial way, in a clear way, and in an unoffensive way, like we're hearing today.
In an unoffensive way, like we're hearing today. Oh, give it a rest. Just stop.
Order. The Honourable Member for South Shore, St. Margaret's, and the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary, I ask them to please behave. The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I put the...
Oh.
The Honourable Member just muted herself, I believe. Okay, the Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question today is that as we see the days dwindling to when we can actually pass legislation, my constituents are particularly concerned with Bill C-33. It's on rail safety and management of marine issues around our ports. It was first introduced 2 ministers of transportation ago.
Wow.
More than 2 years ago, when the minister was from the member from Mississauga, Arundel. Can the government update us? We've finished clause by clause. We're waiting for report stage. When will this bill come back so we can at least get it to the Senate, or we have a hope of not losing years worth of work?
There's a question for you.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, I agree with the member. We have been in the House here for over a month now, bogged down by the Conservatives with respect to their...
Yes, it's the Conservatives' fault that your government isn't giving the documents to the RCMP. Yes.
Something that most, if not all, members are looking forward to. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'll do the point of order in a minute. So 2 things. First, following discussions among...
Oh, are you going to mute yourself? Come on. I hate when they do that. I want to actually hear the points of order and shit. I hate when they mute the mic for that shit. It makes me angry. But yeah, what a crazy night that was. Holy shit. What a crazy question period. And Monday is no confidence day, so I will take a look and see when the vote is scheduled, and hopefully we can cover question period and the vote at the same time, because I really want to cover that, and I really want us to see what goes on, because if they're going to use the NDP's words against him, it would be very interesting to see if he'll actually vote for that motion or not. I still think that the no confidence motion is going to fail, because I think that the NDP is still going to prop up the government. But we're still going to take a look at it. We're still going to look at question period on Monday, and I'm going to try to find out when the vote is. It's usually either at like 4 or at like 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So we'll have to take a look when the vote of no confidence is scheduled. Then I can set up the stream accordingly. Is Queequeg laying on the snacks? That's funny. Miss Queequeg laying on the smacks. Yep. That's her. She's just so inept, this speaker. I hate this speaker of the house. She, like I said, she makes Craig Fergus look unbiased, which is really sad, because he's clearly not. But she is just awful. She is just awful at her job. So that's basically where we're gonna leave off. We are almost at the 2.5 hour mark, which is really kind of surprising, and I didn't even take any breaks today. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go put the kidlets to bed and spend some time with everybody, and then I will be back to play some games. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves, and I will see you guys later. All right? Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you had fun with the yelling and the bullshit. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.